That to me says, John, that this came out later. Like this is more recent, this album, that because your experience coming back to it suggests that.
Yeah, 2020.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. Bless my cotton socks, I'm in the news. Not more of that later because we're on Friday and it's our lovely viewers' turn to request a song for us to listen to. Now then, we have got a track which has been recommended by Andy King 7621. Not to be confused with Andy King 7625. He's a shit.
It's that earlier model. That's the good one.
But no, he's the good one. Yeah, and so he has recommended a tune which I know, but Andy doesn't. So Andy's going to be doing the reaction to this, and then we're both going to talk about it. He has recommended a track by Throwing Muses. It was actually in the comment section on a previous episode that we did, Throwing Muses' Hook in Her Head, which is a barnstormer of a track. And he has suggested for our delectation, and hopefully yours out there as well, Bo Diddley Bridge. Are you familiar with Bo Diddley Bridge, Andy?
I'm assuming you just mean the song, and if so, no, I'm not familiar with the tune. Is there an actual place called Bo Diddley Bridge anywhere?
Could be.
Okay, well, I will endeavor to give this a listen, and I'll return back and let you know what I make of it.
Cool.
Oh, this is dirty. This is dirty and low. Yeah, I like this. It's big sounds, but they're all like this low. It's got this I don't know, this grimy kind of quality to it. I like it. Very alt rock sounding right now. We're gonna take it back a little bit. When that bass came in, man, that's like thunder rolling through a valley. I just loved it.
Is backward, turn an early hill, bow, whistling under Old Diddley Bridge, a still summer, people still. Sitting pretty still.
there's all these great little sounds happening in this, like this, the second part of the song, or the second motif. First one was that sludgy. It almost reminded me of uh, Band of Skulls, another English band. A lot of their guitar driven stuff similar to this, like this a lot. But I really love what they've done here, and they're kind of like showing you the song through a different lens with this almost harpsichordy like effect going on, and then there's also some actual guitar happening in there as well, and like that almost moaning harmony sound, which I think is exquisite. And there's some very interesting little sounds happening in there too. That I'm first listen. I'm trying to parse through what I'm hearing to pick up on them, figure out what they are, and I might not. That's why we talked to John after this. But yeah, I'm gonna take that back a good 30 or so seconds or so, because it's gonna be more. Okay, about there, and we're gonna listen to this again.
Who's saving us? The bridge collapsing.
It's like
The water
phasing.
winning. Who's swimming? The bridge collapsing. The water waiting. Who's saving us? Bridge collapsing. The water winning. Who's swimming? Bridge collapsing. The water waiting.
Ooh. Kind of a disconcerting sound there at the end. I thought that was going to build into something like and come in. Would have been cool if it did. It doesn't make it this song not good that it doesn't. It actually leaves you like, one, it could either go right into another song, or it could just leave you with a like this unease without like, because of like a lack of closure. So you're left wondering like what's next, or feeling on edge for a moment because there it feels like something's around the bend. Yeah, I really like this. It was kind of a tale of two parts, where it was like that last motif, like I said earlier, and then the one that sort of got everything going with that bass and the kind of filthy guitar. Yeah, I really like this. This sounds actually pretty contemporary-ish. I'm not sure when it came out or whatever. There's nothing, yeah. Um, but yeah, it just sounded, I don't know, the production quality was really cool too. I love how her in that second motif, like her main vocals are coming through here, and then that like that sort of moany harmony that she's doing, ooey stuff, is coming in through here, and it sounded just fabulous. There was some really weird, cool, I think guitar was doing that like that sort of phasey stuff. There was piano in there. Yeah, there was just a lot happening, and it was very much two different things, and yet somehow it still worked together. So I really enjoyed this short little track. I think I like this more than the first one that we listened to on here. So this is a great request. Hopefully, John can like help me out with chronology, like what came first, and help me out with maybe a little bit of the instrumentation here. And then it got very like, I didn't catch much of the lyrics in the first part, but this second part kept talking about like the bridge and the water beneath, and who will save us, or who can swim, or I don't know. It sounded like a pretty perilous situation. And I'm wondering if that is metaphorical, or if it's about a particular instance that occurred, like with a bridge collapse or something. I'm not really sure. The how it all ties to Bo Diddley, another thing I'm not certain of. So yeah, John's got his work cut out for him on making this make sense to me, but he doesn't have to do much in the way of making me like it, because it's just good. So we're gonna get back to him and figure this out.
Once again, we do this merry dance. You've had a listen. What do you think?
This was not what I expected, to be honest with you. The Hook in Her Head song didn't have as much grit as 66.6% of this song had. And it was, and I say that because it was a tale of like two motifs. The song was the first 2/3 and then the latter third, and give or take. But yeah, so it was. I really, really liked this a lot. Even more than Hook in Her Head, which was a good song, but I thought this was a really good song. And this was, I guess it was that the whole first portion had this really like sludgy, bluesy, dirty sound to it all, and I love shit like that. And there were a lot of bands doing that kind of sound during a chunk of time, and a chunk of time that during which I was very musically active. And so, not that I'm not, but I mean, I was playing music and always listened to bands, and this soundish, this reinvention of these older sounds was something that was happening a lot in the, I'd say early 2000s to like early 2010s, in that sort of window. And so it kind of reminded me a lot of stuff that I was hearing around that time. But so yeah, it was a great song. I really enjoyed it from it as a macro look at my experience. But the tune starts off with this like interesting use of like just noise creation. And it's instrument derived, but it isn't like, oh, the crisp strike of the G chord. This is some like piano sound, and maybe like I likened it to like the sound you hear when like a pit orchestra sort of getting warmed up a little bit. You hear disparate sounds coming from it, but it's faint and muddled as produced in the intro of this song. So it was almost like because of the muddied nature of it all and trying to figure out what was happening, there was like a tension being built, because you're like, what the fuck can come of this? Like, what is going to come next after all this weird sound? And that's, for me, I think that ambiguous nature is a great way to start a song, because it instantly gets the listener thinking, what is coming next? What could come next? So really, really enjoyed that intro. I really liked it a lot. And then there was some like good old dirty, distorted guitar that kicks in with the vocals right after that. And I started to instantly get shades of a band I've had you listen to on Into the Music called Band of Skulls. And there was sort of this like there's this track that they do, The Devil Takes Care of His Own, and it kind of sounds a little bit like that. Not a pastiche or anything, but it's just similar in nature. And then this bass slides in with some rich, even dirtier tones than the guitar. And it's so thunderously low, and it just does this great job of mimicking, for the most part, what the guitar lick that the guitar is playing. So you get kind of like this positive, negative, yin yang approach to this riff that's being played, one on the guitar, one on the bass, both of which are just absolutely filthy and kind of slow moving and trudging. And it's just got that, I don't know, man, it speaks to me. I really, really love that sound. And the vocals have a haunting sound to them, and particularly during the part where she's like vocalizing rather than singing outright lyrics, like where she's doing kind of this moany ooey stuff. And that is really, really good, and I enjoyed it. It only further adds to the atmosphere and the mood that they're trying to build with this song. And I just really, really adored that. I liked her vocals more on this track than in the previous one. And around the 2/3 mark, as I noted before, the song shifts to this new musical motif, away from this sort of grimy, sludgy blues sound. Well, I should say blues rock sound, to this like key driven portion that's almost driven by, and I can't remember what the song is off the top of my head. We're at like 215 songs on this channel at this point, not to mention the myriad of ones we've done before this, but the one where there was, and I loved it too, it's a damn shame of it. So I'm gonna have to go back and figure this out, but it was the one that has kind of this harpsichordy. I was like, is this the guitarpsichord? Because now it's like the twang of, it's keys, but there's this twang to it that kind of makes me feel little like harpsichord, but you also hear like what I think is clear and present like piano as well. And that actually becomes more prevalent as this, maybe as I'm listening or as the song or as this part of the song progresses. But I really, really liked how it shifted, and it wasn't just and there are other songs that do this, so they're not breaking any barriers, but it's good to catch. You get fewer of these than you do the verse, chorus, little bridge, back to a chorus or reverse, and then that's the end of the song. So you know all the parts of the song with this one little bridge. This seems more like, here is this song, here's this other shorter song, and we're making it a whole song together. And I liked that approach to this. It was a nice little change of pace. And there was also some interesting ancillary auxiliary sounds or effects happening in this portion of this song, this latter portion of the song. And I'm picking up on bits that sound like a phasing sound. There's also this chugging sound, and like a sound that could also be frictious in nature a little bit. And I don't know if I'm conflating some of those or my ears are playing tricks on me, but there were multiple of these buried little like Easter egg sounds behind the key driven stuff that was happening at this point. And there's also like back to her vocals, as she's like singing this refrain about like the bridge collapsing and who can swim, and then I think the one part stays constant of the lyrics, and then she changes the last portion of it as she goes through this refrain. And the main part is coming in through my left ear, and then that same haunting ooh vocalizing stuff starts coming in on this one, and I loved that effect, that production choice. And I mean, I loved her vocals, but then to manipulate them in such a way that you're hearing them coming from both sides was very pleasant to the ear, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm not sure of the subject matter of the song. The only bit I caught was that, again, her reference to a bridge collapse, and I'm not sure if it's like a metaphor for something or if it's quite literally about like an occurrence in history where a bridge collapsed. There's plenty of those. And it sounded ominous and almost uncomfortable, but in like an evocative and artsy and intentional way. And I was just really hella curious what any of that had to do with Bo Diddley. And I'm going to need a hand to better understand the meaning behind the tune. But I can assure you I enjoyed this listening experience a great deal. This is again, better than the first, if I'm being absolutely honest here. And not that I didn't like the first, but this one was just a little tick above for me.
Yeah, I'll say about the song, I think this kind of, when this album came out, reinvigorated my sort of faith in them, because I didn't particularly go a bundle over their previous few albums, but this album is fantastic. And this
So
song
that to me says, John, that this came out later, like this is more recent, this album, that because your experience coming back to it suggests that.
Yeah, 2020.
Oh shit. Okay. I didn't know it was that. I thought you were going to say like 2012 or 13 or something like that.
No, and I'll get into the album in a sec, but this song in particular, you're right, there's all sorts of they're kind of throwing Muse motifs that she uses in it, which I've used in other songs as well. So this sort of jumble of noise, her ethereal, ghosty noises, that's in real Ramona as well. She does that quite a bit. There's sort of the noises as well. The guitar is obviously, it's almost like a primeval force, and it's, as you say, slowly trudging, and you feel it's got so much power to it that it could cleave the moon in two. I mean, it's just, and it's got this earthiness from blues, but it's almost like a warm-up riff from Hendrix as well, and all those sort of things is amazing. Vocal is really good on this. I mean, she's not one for sort of light-hearted, flippant sort of vocals anyway. She's a serious person, but these vocals are immediate and they sort of cut right through to you, like she's talking straight or singing straight at you. I absolutely adore this song. It's not my favorite song off the album, actually, but
Oh, wow.
it's still really good.
Well, no wonder they like breathe new life into your faith in them. If like this, it just speaks that they've got great songs on this album and they really hit it out of the park. That's awesome.
3 singles off this album are all fantastic. They really are.
And was this one of the singles? Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's off the 2020 album Sun Racket, which was they haven't done it since. No. So just to recap, Kristen Hurst guitar vocals, Bernard Georges on bass guitar, and David Narciso on drums. So the little background, their previous albums that they did was the self-titled Throw Muses, which is a really weird time to decide to do a self-titled album, like 8 or 9 into or whatever it is. That was in 2003. And then the next album was Purgatory/Paradise in 2013, so like a 10-year gap. And that was released as a book, which had lyrics and artwork, and then also you get a download code for extra music. There was like 30 odd tracks to it. So they haven't been prolific in the last 23 years. But she had, but Kristen has still been working. She had a side project, 50 Foot Wave, and was doing other stuff, all the way through that time. And according to the research that I'm quoting here, she was only motivated to make a new Throne Muses album once she had the right songs that sounded appropriate for this group. So according to her, the distinction is so stark that she had written them in a fugue state as a response to a post-traumatic stress disorder and has no memory of their composition.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the second single off the album after the first single, which is the absolutely wonderful Dark Blue, and that's probably my favorite. The third one, Frosting, did really, really good as well. The album was really praised by the critics and got a Metacritic average score of 83. So again, good stuff. Yeah. And there's loads of quotes, but the Arts Desk wrote, floaty and ethereal melodies blend and twist around the raw and the primal to produce something truly magnificent, as Throne Muses cast a disorientating but wholly satisfying spell. And I will say that when I listened to it, I got it about a year after it came out. I didn't rush out and get it, but I did get it and listen to it. And as I was listening to the album, it felt like walking through like a sort of museum-y stroke attraction place that's all done in Victoriana, and they're like creepy sort of children's rooms and stuff like that. Each song was like a different room with a complete atmosphere to them. And that's what I've got in my head listening to it. And it's nothing to do with any of that, but that's what I saw.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really created amazing atmospheres for almost every track. Absolutely brilliant. I'll go into a bit more of it, but I'll just go about the lyrics to this song. If only, that's in quotes, is backwards, terminally ill. Bow whistling under Bow Diddley Bridge. Us two summer people still. Sun racket, sedated, sitting pretty still. Bow crow, seeing under Bow Diddley Bridge. Us two freaking, sweetly killed. You know what? Only fuck with what doesn't matter, and only fuck who does, because the bridge collapsing, the water waiting, who's saving us? The bridge collapsing, the water winning, who's swimming? The bridge collapsing, the water waiting, who's saving us? The bridge collapsing, the water winning, who's swimming? The bridge collapsing, the water waiting, is it us? Now, just for fun, I went onto that horrible website.
Oh God, not the one that, not the AI shit. Come on, he's not going to tell me about Bo Diddley.
I have to say, Kristen Hurst 1, AI intelligence 0.
Yeah,
what they've written actually is quite funny because you whack it in, it does 2 minutes and then it just does its computations and comes out. And there's a couple of bits here. I just think it's interesting that this is what artificial intelligence has come up with. The song Bo Diddley Bridge by Throw Muses appears to be filled with metaphorical imagery and a sense of impending danger. The phrase "if only" suggests longing or regretful sentiment, and being backwards terminally ill could refer to feeling trapped or limited. The mentions of Bo Diddley Bridge serves as a specific location that holds some significance. And go on for that. I mean, it's just fucking nonsense anyway. However, I mean, it is really evocative. Kristen Hirsch recounted us actually in an interview. She said there was a fallen bridge, and she examined it in the sort of symbolism it meant in her own life. And this is a quote from her: "My little boy, Bo, used to fish off Bo Diddley Bridge down the street before it collapsed, around the time our lives collapsed." Hirsch explains the track in a statement. "But we lived. We swam in a life at sunshine somehow. And both bridges, the Bo Diddley one and the life one, were rebuilt around us."
Okay.
So
I said literal or metaphorical, and in a way, it's both, but far more, I think, metaphorical, right? So, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there is imagery, water imagery runs through the album, actually, and also both lyrically and sonically. So you get these crashing waves of guitar, but you also get these drifting currents, and water being calm and reflective or destructive, able to cleanse, to give life, or to smash, to tear down, or even to drown. These are all sort of things within it. And so this song's really great because it does feel like, it's almost like the clouds are gathering at the start, and then this force, almost like a storm, is coming. And then, even as she's saying the bridge is collapsing, is the calm bit, which is really odd. It's like you're accepting and you're dropping into the water. But she alludes to drowning and being saved as well. Again, saving, baptism, immersion in water. There's different things going on all at the same time, which is very common with her lyrics. She's a clever dogger, she is. So yeah, it's great that it puts all different sort of images in your mind at once, almost, which is the sort of the cleverness of her songwriting.
Yeah, there's metaphor in metaphor here, like the water, which I was not thinking about it so much as the bridge, but yeah, and it's interesting that it becomes like a cross album motif that she continues to reference in different ways throughout it. Yeah, this is really, really good. I found it as we were talking about it. We just wrapped up doing another one of these episodes where we covered Superchunk, and I couldn't help but think that your experience with Superchunk and listening to that song after only being familiar with up to a certain point with their materials, you probably were more so with Throwing Muses, but at the same time, this sort of revisiting them later and them reaffirming in you this faith in them is probably kind of similar to what you experienced with Superchunk, where you heard that song that was much later in their discography and were like, whoa, they're still doing really good stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And actually made me go back to their old stuff again. I mean, Real Ramona, I always listen to. I think it's one of the best albums of the 90s. I really do, and can't state that enough. But I've got a real fondness for House Tornado as well, which is one of their early ones. Second album, I like the first one. Hung Papa's really good as well. I always like that. Limbo's all right, and Red Heaven's all right, and University's okay. And I don't really know much after that, but this was just, it struck me that it was, this is really good. And I'm glad she waited until she felt she had the songs, because it clearly paid off.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like from the quote that you read, that her approach was one of like methodical, not just, cranking it out for the sake of cranking it out. But honestly, everything you said about that 2013 release, smacked of like a large project that they really invested a lot of time in, but that one just didn't resonate with you as much. What was their sound? Were they really messing with new and different sounds on that project, or?
know what? It didn't leave an impression on me. I think I listened to it and it just didn't sink it. I should probably give it another go because I
Yeah,
couldn't tell
maybe.
you
I don't know. I was
how
just
it sounded.
curious because it's funny how they've like early stuff kills it, kills it, kills it, and then there's this little lull, and then they come out with this stuff after that, and it's as good as what I just heard. And you're obviously saying that the whole album has this kind of weight to it and is great.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's really worth listening to. I would
awesome.
strongly recommend it. I think you'd get a lot out of it.
Cool. Well, I'm
They,
glad it was offered up.
if you go onto YouTube searching for Throw Muses, obviously I had to find a link for this song. You will find ad infinitum number of little sort of episodes done by YouTubers saying Throw Muses is one of the most underappreciated bands. And that is true. They're not
Yeah.
mentioned in the same breath as other bands who aren't a patch on them, really. And I still struggle to understand why, because some of their stuff is just unbelievable and has resonated down, through other bands, and they don't get the props that they deserve in terms of the influence as well as the quality of their output.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this definitely I got to look at them in a little bit of a different light here, and I enjoyed it very, very much. This is an excellent recommendation. So
Yeah, it really was. Thank you, Andy King, so
yes.
much. It's good to get some more Throw Muses on the channel, and we should do some more actually, because there's plenty to go at. Just a reminder. So yeah, thanks Andy for recommending this. Thanks Andy for listening to this.
Yeah.
And folks out there, what do you think of this track and this gut churning guitar that sort of comes through the start? It must have moved you in one way or another. Drop some comments and let us know. If you like this, hit the like button and let us know how much you liked it. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. We really appreciate all the support we can get. And also remember, drop some comments on this or other reactions about songs that you'd like us to listen to. We will pop them on the list and we will slowly but surely get to them. Creeping along like gangrene. We will get there in the end. Charming image. But yeah, thanks again so much for listening, and we will see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.